Okay. Hey, welcome. We got Art Department and GM Balo up in here. We've got candy on, is what we got. But yeah, everybody. Yeah, this is from the daughter. And
everything she didn't like, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, happy Halloween, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby. There you go, baby. Here, come on.
Very cool. Yeah, so we're here hanging out. We're working on some project stuff, and
we're getting off Halloween candy.
Hey, Courtney.
On the plus side, guys, I wore the exact same dress I wore last year, so as fat as I think I am, I haven't gained any weight since last Halloween. And I look good, so whatever.
Yes. You got hit by a child.
I got hit on by a 16-year-old, guys. It was embarrassing. I told Meg he's not allowed to leave me anymore. It was awkward. I want to talk about it. I might break right already.
See, already
funny. It was funny, but it wasn't funny.
Yeah, I come back. She's like, "You're not allowed to leave me anymore." At the mall. You're like, you're upset. You're innocent.
I'm so over it.
Oh. Yeah. So doing a lot of stuff. We were actually trying to work on some good stuff because we were, it's funny. We're at a point in our games where we're realizing that it's like, my goodness, we run over I think it's 7 games all in a connected universe. Universe. And
I am with you, girl. I'm being generous saying he was 16, I think.
Oh, so funny. Like, you took it treated? No.
Those are mine over there.
The big giant person coming straight at us. Run away. Yeah. So we were working on some stuff. And I think one thing that I've been working on is the idea of how to specifically put down in writing, I guess, how we do stuff, how it is we put our games together. And I don't mean like necessarily art department and I mean kind of as a community, kind of that unspoken social contract. Because one of these things that I know I love what we put together, and I assume many of you do because you pay for it. So,
and you can't assume put me under contract because you can't control me.
That's true, but yeah. So we've been working on some stuff and trying to get some general principles. And so we thought that what we do is we kind of talk out loud a bit, write some stuff. Maybe we'll take overtime at some point, but we'll see.
I did not sign up for that. I signed up for junk food and sitting close to you.
That's true. Yeah, but she knows she can only watch me type for so long.
It's a true horrible paper. It's better than watching you try to write.
It's true. But yeah, so we didn't know where everybody was doing, so we're going to be kind of doing a few things like that. We might go to something else. And
questions and comments are available in chat.
Yeah, to participate, ask any questions, and we can kind of go back and forth too. I want us to be open. I guess any other GMs who might join in. I'll see this later. That's kind of what we're working on, and
we're also trying to find a way to do the art department recaps without it being such a consuming thing for me, because it's so many notes and it hurts after a while. Did you bring me more candy?
Yeah, this is sort of a live brainstorm, a little more than a brainstorm, I guess, but live planning, kind of for the year to come, because it's too busy to plan during December, January. So that was actually a really good time as we're going to do the game tonight, because we had a lot of people trick-or-treating from Tuesday, and man, for whatever reason, I just was not excited about a Halloween watch out this year.
I think that's because, one, you weren't finding a concept, and then two, there's no time, since you couldn't come up with something, there's no time to build a set for something.
Right.
So it's like, do we half-ass it? No, we full-ass things.
Yes, all full-ass all the time. But yeah, I think that's basically where it was. I just was trying to get those two things.
Stealing if they give it to you.
It's true.
She doesn't like chocolate. I don't know whose kid she is in some days, but I'll eat all her chocolate. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of the only thing I was working on was an Old Gods one called Hate Night. that I was messing around with, but I didn't quite get it because old gods definitely have to have it together. But yeah, so we got some things on that, like working more on some Cypher games because it looks like Sunday we're gonna venture into Cypher, the what's been doing Pirates right now.
Oh, between Pirates and the Vikings.
Yeah, before we go to the Viking game, we're gonna do a little bit of Dark Academia using Cypher.
Which I would like to know if she could have one pack of Pokemon.
Yes, you may have a pack.
No, my Butterfinger!
Yeah. So I don't know if the Pokemon Company is as crazy as Magic, but if they were, they'd be sending Pinkertons to us. That's all I'll say at this point. So if you know what that means, you know what that means about what I might have in front of me as far as Pokemon.
I don't know anything.
Don't do that. Seriously, don't show them sign.
We'll get in trouble.
It's an our fault though, otherwise it's us. But yeah, we don't want to do that. At any rate, yeah, so we got that potentially going. So thanks, Marvelous, for the resub. That's awesome. So yeah, I was working on kind of this idea of putting into words, kind of what we do. Again, not so much what her and I do, but like what we as a community do, things, some goals. And one thing I've been reading that's given me some language for it that I do recommend just for anybody to pick up, just to have some fun reading. And if you like things, if you like me and really enjoy when somebody can put into words all the crap in your head and you go, oh yeah, this is about 80% of where I was trying to go. And it helps you kind of grab a language.
Most people don't like to really read the mental health diagnostics. I'm sorry.
I've been looking at Your Best Game Ever by Monty Cook.
Also good if you're a DM.
Yeah, DM player. Very good for player, very good for DM, because there's the two sections there, and it's pretty fun. So yeah. So a few of the things that we know we like, and if there's something you love about our game or anything like that, as we're having this discussion, and I would say more like the game, like the community, things that we do, go ahead and put that in. Because again, we love to respond, put questions up, whatever, as we are working on this. But we, one thing actually is this idea of player as storyteller, right? Because a lot of times we look at things like, especially if you ever played Vampire Masquerade, or any of those many supernatural creature, the whatever, where Apocalypse, Mage, the Ascension, or the Awakening, or all that insanity. The idea was there was a storyteller, which was usually the GM realm, and then there's like the players, right? And one thing that I really enjoyed about some other games I've been messing around with is this idea, and I think works really well in D&D when you think about it, as all games like this, is that everyone in the group tells the story, right? It's not just the GM, it's all the players are storytellers with us. And but then
Chaos Bringers.
Yeah, for Chaos Bringers. But it kind of comes in down to what's that really what's that really mean, right? And it means that I think what it means is that while we might want what's best for our character, you want what's best for the group. You also want what's best for the story, right? So we become like a participant in the story, and your role is to play the character as well as you can. But there's more to it than that if we're willing to go to the next kind of extra step, so to speak, right? And so the idea, another way to say it would be like this, because I think of when we have our best games. It's kind of what I'm thinking about. So I've been really writing down when have we had a best game, and it kind of got me thinking about it, honestly, was when we were all putting together for that cruise thing, which it looks like it's not happening. Now the person taking care of it has had another opportunity. I think they're pro football or something.
Woo!
So they're doing something much more exciting than D&D. But at any rate, is the idea that there's these things that have been part of the very best games. And when everyone was sharing these moments, I like went and looked not just at the moment, but like at the whole session and going, and some weren't like the best session, but they were cool moments. But then I was like finding the ones that were like, wow, this whole session was really, really good. and what are some things that are there. And so that's sort of what we're working on this Halloween horror. So the true horror, writing a document. But yeah, so the general idea is we're making this thing that hopefully reflects everything that we do as a community, and maybe a vision cast, a few things for the future. Really land on, like, mostly trying to land on what we all know we'd want to see as well, or see more of, is probably the best way to say that. Well, I got a little puppy coming up over here.
Like people ringing the doorbell.
Yeah, people are ringing our doorbell and she's getting upset. You can see her little puppy at the bottom of the screen. But yeah, so here's the one thing that I find is that when the GM, or I guess set the tone, but the players match the tone, right? Like, because obviously the GM, hello, you want to be on stream too? Okay. Everyone say hi to Ruby.
She's distracted. D&D is more exciting to me than football too, but she's gonna get paid a hell of a lot more for doing some football.
Yeah, that's very fun. So yeah, so basically, if you're like the idea of this is that what did it say? GM sets the mood, and it doesn't really work unless everyone cooperates with the mood. So whatever mood we go into for a session, whatever working, obviously there's things like you can try, like I could try to do horror, but if we have too many silly jokes or things that are detracting from something rather than adding to the story, and everyone's game, it doesn't quite work out very well. Right. And so one value that I kind of think of is, when I really love it, is when players seem to think through things of like, man, what would I do if I were the GM? Right. So an example of this, if we're having like an encounter that's this interaction with some type of emissary of a god or something like that, like the whole idea as a GM is I would, for me, I would set probably a solemn or certain mood. But as a player, players can do the same things, and when they do and they match it, it really works, right? A player could take on a serious tone, describe the former garments that they've done. They could like stand up from the table, take a bow to show respect, right? And where those two things collide is where like storytelling magic would come. Thanks. That's the general idea, right? So the general idea is us taking responsibility for the story together. And one thing I really love is our Friday night at midnight Old Gods.
Yeah.
And so that's like one where I'm just like, man, we got to take some of that Old Gods magic and sprinkle it through.
Because you let the two people with children, you let the two people who have absolutely no filter play a game together.
That Courtney and Paula.
Courtney and Paula. No filter. Nice. Okay, Ruby, you're so sweet, but you're so distracted. Okay, you're going to have to get down, baby girl. Daddy, stop petting her. She's never going to leave. Nice. Okay, come on. Oh,
so there's that, but I think it is the to me that's one thing I noticed is this interaction of, hey, here's the tone of this, and we all kind of jump in and take those.
Oh, hey, if I put my arm, I can get close. Hold on.
Pieces.
Hold on.
And so again, I'm kind of talking through thoughts. So if we're saying thoughts you like, you can repeat them, say things like, yeah, that sounds cool. If any of these sound confusing, let us know that they're confusing, and I would love to talk out, because it helps getting things out of my mouth. And so
I'm pulling it out of your mouth. Yo, I had too much sugar today already.
Yeah, so I've been thinking of like things like, and again, I would write this document in such a way that it's sort of like a consent form. So because the other purpose of it, one is to get us all on the same page as a community, which we mostly are, but whenever you want to be on the same page, it's just helpful to have a page. Is how I always think about it. And then but also as we add more and more people, as people come into now this community that's been going strong for almost 2 years, it's cool to be like, hey, here's who we are, and if you want to be a part of us and have a lot of fun, this is what it looks like to be a part of it. Yeah, so Jackie, what we're talking about is, I think in short, I'm making a document that describes our gaming culture as kind of GM Balo
I
games,
can't sit that way. I'm out of screen. Hold on.
and how we play. And so I was talking a little bit about like how the GM sets the tone, but the players set the tone with them. So there's not like a back and forth. Like the GM's serious, the idea of players doing a lot of silly jokes in response to seriousness and those types of things. And again,
What
not
if it's our coping mechanism?
well, again, if the character is doing a certain thing, right? And so I think again, it's not necessarily a hard and fast word, but it's the general idea.
Thank you. Correct.
Yeah, she likes to come in. Implied is never really outlined, and we can't get mad without clarity. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, the idea is to bring into some type of wording and document our culture, and then be able to look back at that. And a lot of it too is because we will run games, and it's hard for us to zero every time because it's like we go through all the zero things, and we're like, we've all played together, and then I think sometimes it's we could even drift from what we know we love about the games because we don't always revisit. So having like a really like, hey, here's the base of the pyramid type of document that is true of every campaign, no matter what we do, is sort of the idea here. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. I'm giving examples, but I'm just going to reset the talking thing for anyone just joining in.
I'm too much in the middle.
Okay. Very cool. So, like I said, this would be written in a way of a document telling somebody how to be a part of our community, right? So that's kind of the way. And so some things I'm working on, and these are statements I'm not necessarily putting out.
It's also like, we haven't had this problem in a while, but we have had this problem off and on. People joining and then being like, oh, I didn't know you mean that. Even though you read it like 30 times. Hey, we stream this. Hey, we stream this. Hey, we stream this. Hey, we stream this. Are you okay? We stream this.
We go live. I didn't know you streamed. What?
So it's kind of like, again, it's that clarity. Oh my gosh, we've had people drop out like 5 seconds before game. Oh wait, you stream this? Nah, we just said it about 40 times and we put you on something called StreamYard.
Yeah. Or things like RP, and we say we're high RP, or what does that mean? What are we doing in our sessions and all that stuff, and people don't. So it's good to kind of get back to that. And I think it's good for us to have that very big base thing. And
hey, this is a Zorhaus campaign, and 2 years later they get back to Zorhaus. Oh, sorry, no, that was
that's
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Look, if I'm not ragging on anyone tonight, it's Tuesday because it's your night.
So fun. Yeah. So one thing again is 2 general statements. They actually aren't mine. I know the GMs, and I might mess with them. Not stealing. I'm crediting them.
You're plagiarizing?
No. Because I'm not writing them down. I'm saying this to the other person, and then I'm probably going to rework them and probably say, hey, it's this thing. So it's none of those
Cliff
things.
Noted?
Maybe. But yeah, and that's you are not this would be to the player. You are not the most important person at the table. Let's all have some fun. And then the other general rule is
I like our one neighbor, guys. I got a giant one.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. You're not the most important person on the table. Let's all have some fun. And then I will never tolerate passive aggressive, directly aggressive, hostility, or general assholery towards myself or any other players.
You accept me.
That's true. We have to go, except for art department. Like, disclaimer, art department will be a jerk.
Yes, but I do it out of love.
Yes. Nice heart. Black as night.
Accurate.
It's true. Yeah, and then there's this this thing I was looking at, and the statement would go something like this: like players, your characters, and the and the campaign. So this general guideline would be something like this: when playing the game, pay attention to what everybody else is saying, and remember to leave room for everyone to shine. So actually, this is a sentence I really want to modify that this person was sending me.
Got my back.
It's true. Give everyone time to shine. Each character should get their time in the spotlight. Do your best to cooperate with the other players and make sure you positively contribute to the table environment. Be curious, enthusiastic, suggest goals for the group, and support each other. That's true. Though the way you spell that makes me think that like the people from Pennsylvania are going to come and get me, but it's okay. it's just scary because I'm an old gods nerd.
I'm gonna go down to the bar.
Barrow, Pennsylvania.
Guys, he made me walk forever tonight. I'm so tired.
That's true. But she was a cute Morticia. So yeah, and so the thing that got to me about that particular one was, yeah, each character should get their time in the spotlight, which I actually disagree with in a way. I shouldn't disagree. I guess modify that.
Modify it.
Because
would you move over? Why am I so close to the middle?
We're literally equidistant. The concept is this, right? I don't think I like the concept of spotlight when it comes to a TTRPG.
That's because you're a thespian.
That's true. But
I said thespian, y'all. Although technically you could be a lesbian because you do like women.
I don't even know.
You gave me sugar.
That's true. Because I always think of something as like sharing the stage. Like it's more ensemble, because there's this idea of like you can have a spotlight or a big spotlight or any of these things you could like, but it's more like the whole stage is lit.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that I'm not a so this idea of a spotlight of someone being singled out, I kind of like I don't like the idea of that.
Well, yeah, well, it really is. And I know I made the joke, but you are a thespian.
Mm-hmm.
And even when there's a solo, yes, the spotlight is on one person, but there's still crap going around in the background that's important. So pulling people into the spotlight, which happens in a good musical,
right?
That's the thespian in you.
But what
Nobody
actually
has a solo.
Yeah, but what actually most often happens, right, is the spotlight actually kind of gets turned off.
Yeah.
And everyone comes forward. It's like, here's a spotlight, but then everyone comes up to it.
Yeah.
And so I've been kicking around this idea of, and again, like this document, the idea is like a reflective and refractive, right? It's to reflect what's up, but also to push us towards what we're going to have the most fun with as well, right? It's kind of a dual thing. And by the way, I just want to be clear, we're actually talking here, but once I really get this down, I'm going to like release it and go, hey, everybody, tell me what you think. Like read it, kind of do these things before we...
Like you do with everything.
Yeah, quote unquote, making it like this is our stuff.
You know, like
right?
You did with the logo, like you did with
the
cards. Like,
right, this is what I do, right? And but just to reiterate, I don't want
like you did with the nuts.
This goes like, do you really need to tell them that you're going to...
No, I'm the smart assery of this group.
Yeah.
So I help it. And thank you, Bobby, for correcting that for all the teachers out there.
But so the general idea being that right, as Jackie just said, like an ensemble, but the idea that you might have 3 or 4 characters who should come up and have moments and have something that revolves around, and then you switch to another 3 or 4. And while I get like that there are times, like especially for watching music or something, where someone might come out and they do that, hey, it's just me and my song, or me and this thing where I talk to myself. I'm to the point where I feel like it's good to try not to do that in a TTRPG. Like, to kind of go, let's not do that.
A good example for all you theater nerds would be Bye Bye Birdie, would be the telephone song.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good example.
Right, where you zoomed on characters, you would get a character, then it would pass on.
And to the next character would sing the next line, next character sings the next line.
And they pass
it. And it had like all of these
people
in on it. That's that's how I'm picturing it in my head, because I picture things in musical form for whatever reason.
Yeah. So remember that huge grid we built for Bye Bye Birdie.
Don't have flashbacks. Don't have flashbacks.
Hello, morning glory. What's the word? Have you heard about Harry and Kim? Did they really get pinned? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I could sing the whole song because I was in the musical.
Y'all, I think someone spiked the candy. We haven't been drinking, I swear.
This is true.
I lost your train of thought for me.
So, related to TTRPGs, is this idea that it would be like my thing is to write something along these lines. Like, hey, let's let everything we do be with 3 characters at least fully participating. If we're going to go talk to the rulers, if we're going to go check out the hot guy at the shop or whatever, but we take 3 people, and in the scene in general, the 3 people are participating, and ideally they have a goal, and they might have, and that they're interesting. They're not 3 soloists, right? They're 3 people who, like, let's like give an example here. It might be we're at the store. One person wants to buy a magic weapon at a good price. The other wants to.
Oh, so it's not Drakenheim.
The other one wants to, let's say, pick somebody up, and the other wants to
Literally
get the.
or physically?
It doesn't really matter. I literally or physically, it's like the same thing.
I know.
You're talking about.
I was waiting to see if you noticed. This is why we don't do things.
This is true. Pick somebody up, and then the third one, let's say, wants to get rumors about everything. And the idea being that they don't 3 separately do these things, but that we do the scene in such a way where they're doing all 3 things together, helping each other accomplish each one.
So what you're saying is we need to make a hot guy in the weapon shop that has rumors.
And not even so much that, and not even making it just the one person, but being like, let's say it's 3 different people, but we go together.
Minotaurs, we can do Minotaurs. I got a really hot Minotaur scout mini.
True. We know the hottest mini is Ogre Maggie.
Oh God,
we all know that is the
Netherdeep
hottest.
Maggie is the hottest mini. We all know that. Only close second to Desdemona. Is a close second is Desdemona. I messed that up. You know.
And so the way that might work gameplay wise, right, would be something like, I have so many, like maybe there's like, hey, for so many successes we buy varied. Let's say like we say all 3 of those things are 3 successes each or something like that. And I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here, but it would be
you bet Gilmore.
Yeah, 9 6. Well, no, you would need you know so each thing costs 3 successes, and we would do checks. Everybody would do pieces of that thing to get those ideas. That then, as a group, you would have scored a certain number of successes.
So it'd be like a challenge rating, like when you do the challenge.
Similar, but more RP focus, and like it wouldn't be as like straight like, what do you do, right? Yeah.
Or girls.
But then you'd have so many successes to actually spend on the stuff. Like, okay, for the price, I'm going to spend 1 success we gleaned on there, so the price comes down a little bit. Or we really want a better price, so we'll spend all 3. For the one we're picking up, 1 is like, okay, we got a date. 3 is they're coming home with me, or whatever it would the equivalent of that would be.
9 is you get a golden G-string. That's just gonna be in all the games from now on.
I know, G-strings. Everyone rolls the G-string.
Or chapless.
Yeah.
Buttless chaps. That's what I was trying to say.
And one really good example that kind of happened as I've been working on this, I saw, was actually, if anyone watches Sunday Pirates,
That's true. That's true.
There was a moment where it was like basically the bard, played by Alex, was going to go ahead and
We were just talking about this.
Get everybody going together, and like do a piece where he got everybody from a fort, because they're going to take the fort, all the soldiers.
Oh, they took the fort.
Yeah, to this deal. And then the other characters came around, and what I just loved it because it was a perfect idea of this was
now I've got to, Bobby. Now I've got to.
They came around and they said, well, we're going to run coat check, and we're going to put these symbols that will steal the souls when we kill them, because of some other stuff that was going in the game. But the point is that one person did a thing that was like, and this is even better, because if it can be everybody instead of 2 groups of 3, that's even better. But like, this was the whole group got into it. Someone said, well, I'm going to kind of be bard. And then they're like, okay, how are we going to support the bard? We're going to do these things around this idea of the bard going through. And so we had, I think,
arm wrestling,
Courtney and Molly, doing some stuff,
contest.
Doing these things to keep everybody
Bartender
entertained. And so the entertainment group was giving successes.
It was brilliant.
Which gave time to the people trying to sew these arcane symbols into the coats of the soldiers, because it was the coat check, right? And so these 2 things came together in a very beautiful way. And it was one of those times, like I said, one of these things is how do we make every encounter the best encounter ever? How do we make every game the best game ever?
Yep, accidentally sending people on
Yes,
fire. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorite non-combat like planning that you guys have ever done in any of the games, just because of how everyone had their bit and it just flowed and meshed so well.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. We didn't give anyone. Well, look, if they had alcohol poisoning, it didn't last them long because they were dead by morning.
That's true. So the idea being that, yeah, it's this, hey, if somebody has an idea, so the principle is this. If someone has something, everyone come around and let's make this thing cool.
Yeah.
As opposed to, which I think is less great, is when everyone goes, well, I go do this, I go do this, I go do this. And it's very separate. And I think of it, and again, I think of it in a stage sense of like, okay, now we have to shift the setting, and then we have to shift the setting again, then we have to shift the setting again.
It just doesn't flow.
Yeah, and the audience is confused. And I just realized, like, and I think as TTRPG players in any game, I'm like, I think we get a little worn out. And so I was like, if we kind of get this thing of multiple things happening in the same scene, and again, where we, again, as opposed to spotlighting, more like wash lighting, but two separate stages. And that's why I think I keep thinking back to this Ether Pirate scene where it would be like, oh, we highlight the drinking and the performing, and then we black that out, or I guess it'd probably be a quarter blackout. Oh my gosh, I was a nerd. And then we would go full on to
you don't need to tell anyone out there that you're a nerd. They know.
The other scene, right? And where they'd be going, and then when their time would go out, we'd go to the other thing where we'd see them realize they need more time, so they would do something. And I think that's when I think afterwards we go, that was awesome. That was great. That was fantastic.
Don't lie to me, Bobby. You knew. Don't you lie to me. I know where you live. Don't you lie to me.
So I think that is where so I think that's the goal. That's the kind of thing I want to kind of encourage. I think we want to go and then help people get into it. Because like I just think that we have the most fun with that.
And if like, I will say this. If you're like, I'm not sure I know how to do that, watch some of the games that Jalen's in. Because I don't know how Jalen does it, but Jalen is phenomenal at weaving everyone in together.
Yeah.
He's been like, I don't even know if he knows he does it, but he does it like in every game he's in.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things where, like in a document, I say something like, let's all take responsibility to weave everyone together. Let's all like be these champions of making like this a group effort.
I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments while you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Blue Rose does that too. They weave people together.
Yeah, absolutely.
You better apologize, Bobby.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I'm
he has a great captain.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. With the Blue Rose is that kind of happens, and it's to try to verbalize what makes Blue Rose so much fun, and then go, hey, everybody, this is the aim for every game, right? This is what we're trying to achieve all the time. And because Blue Rose, just like from the very beginning, was this everyone getting, we kind of launched it that way. And again, kind of like one thing I think I said before was like without a page, it's hard to be on the same one, right?
My
and
belly,
so that's sort of.
Did you try it and you don't like it?
The idea. Yeah.
Y'all are gaining 30 pounds tonight.
So that I guess is under the idea of cooperate with everybody else. And again, kind of changing away from the spotlight mentality. Because just the more it doesn't. My weird brain doesn't like it. I guess it helps me think about it more of two washes and all that. Like I said, so the idea would be like, hey, let's do everything with about 3 players. And that was the only exception. A thing that I think we all love is like, hey, if you want to have a one-on-one with another character, that's what watches are for. That's a great watch thing, and we all know that, and we all sit and let that go, and we enjoy that. And so I think that's part of our culture that we like, but to keep that there, then everything else is like, hey, we're achieving goals ideally as the whole group, but when we can't, let's at least keep it to, let's try to do 3 groups of 3 or whatever. Yeah, I agree. Very cool. Thank you for I say anybody who goes, yeah, I like that I love words that let me know that I'm not insane.
No, you are insane.
Well, that's
for
true.
Whatever reason. I love him. I do. But this boy has the self-esteem of a turnip.
At times.
No, you do.
That's probably
And
true.
so you second guess everything. Like you don't know what you're doing, and you're not like it's not like you're a pro DM or like you've been number one how many times. No, stop it. Look, I love this. Stop talking bad about it. Because I will hurt you.
Okay. So the other concept, and again, I'm kind of looking at another like I said before, another GM kind of sent me what they were doing. I'm kind of taking their thing and working it a little bit as a framework. I think it's good to talk through. The thing is, you play as a hero is the other concept, and I think we genuinely. Well, so I mean, I want to talk about that actually, because the reason I use a hero doesn't mean good.
Okay.
Right, a hero, and this is the idea of a hero, right? At least how they're talking about it, and but because like I'll say it this way, because actually villains tend to be cowardly.
Maleficent is not a coward.
Yeah, they are heroes on both sides. So that's why I said heroism. So the idea of the hero is, I would say this. This premise would be in mind, right? That act heroically, don't back down from challenges, and try to make the world a better place from your point of view. Right, better or worse place. But sometimes it would make sense for your character to do something you wouldn't be a part of. That's the beauty of a role play game. It's like allow the character to lead on their journey, like the hero. So the idea of a heroic journey is somebody who starts one place and ends up in another place. Right, they change. They are pushed outside of boundaries they never would have crossed, and that puts. So yeah.
I want to say is now when it says don't back down from challenges, that does not mean when you are level 3 and you see a blue dragon to go, we won't back down and run it like an idiot.
It's true.
Just saying.
But it might be okay as a blue dragon. How can we as level 3? What can we do?
What
right?
can we do? Yes.
That is dangerous, but isn't warning into its mouth. Possibly.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it is like we've said before. Like, yeah, make your plans. That's fine. The dice tell a story. I think what frustrates people is they try to do that, and then sometimes they plan too long, and the dice go natural one. So I think it's like it's using your brain, not just your muscle.
Yeah, and I think that's like so. The hero thing is like cool, like, and it's a risky because I think sometimes. I would say when games go less than great, I would say, because I always like to look at that, is sometimes when a character goes into a selfish direction in this sense, that they go, I have to make it back to my family, I have to make it back to my whatever, so I'm not going to take this risk for everybody. I'm just leaving. They can do this, as opposed to this heroic idea of I'm going to go. And again, even if you're a villain, even if you're an evil campaign, it is like you're going to die for your goddess, your dragon, or your whatever. Like there's still this. Because that's what makes it interesting. Because like I think of like let's use we can use anti-hero, or you can use any of these. But like even when you watch like shows where somebody is quote unquote the villain, and we kind of cheer around them or whatever.
What I will say though,
like the villain as the protagonist. It's
I don't know. I don't want to talk about like shows and stuff because I get frustrated about how they view villains.
It's true.
But I like your villains because your villains are never black and white. Like your villains are. For lack of a better word, they're like, anyone watched Once Upon a Time? Oh God, what name does he go by? Mr. Gold.
I love him so much.
That's my type of villain. Like, and again, it goes with what you're talking about, where, yes, Derek, where it goes like that, like, he would do things that you're like, okay, yeah, all right, that makes sense, because like, yes, he was out for himself, but he also knew like to get what he wanted, he might have to sacrifice himself. But like, that's what I love about your villains. In yours, like, they're never black and white.
Yeah, actually, I think Mr. Go's a really good example to land on right here, because if you take his transformation from when we get him in the flashbacks to there is a heroic idea even when he does things for himself.
Yes.
Like when he furthers his goals, like there's this heroic thing, like he does endanger himself. He does go further than he'd like
Book was
to.
Just hot. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I looked at that, and I think that what we love that is that's that bit of growth there that make a great game. And I think those are those things of like And I think that's when we lean in, right? When someone
Mhm.
goes, well, even though this person has chosen to go back to, they're putting themselves out there. Even though they have this, they're putting themselves out too. Because it was one game I was running, and suddenly everybody was like, I don't think my person would do this.
We're not talking about that game. That game
Well,
makes me angry.
hold on. This is my point of it. Is because why? Well, because we have too much to lose. And I was like, and it really got me because I was like, wow, we just left heroism. And I don't, and it was one of these things like this idea of heroes are people who don't have anything to lose. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
No, I agree.
And it's not a good story, right? And
No.
so I think that the idea that there's something to lose, the idea that they are pushing beyond their stuff, and so the idea of that, the whole idea is understand about your character, because as we play a character, especially in our long 1 through 20 campaigns, you're going to have you're going to achieve family, you're going to achieve things, and
as much as I
then you have to risk it.
As much as I like to rag on Tuesday night for their dumbass decisions, they're always in character and they risk everything.
Yeah.
Every time. They're like,
true.
Oh well, let's go. We're gonna do it.
And to go like an RPG, it's one of the things why Veth Bernardo
I love that.
is like my all-time favorite
I love
RPG person, because she got a family.
Yeah.
Like she had, especially when she had changed from the goblin to the halfling,
that.
she had everything she wanted.
Yep.
There's nothing else she wanted in life. But she went out and she was like, so I was like, I viewed her as the most heroic of the entire campaign. And I just was like virtuous, all these things in that sense. And so, and I think that is that's one of the ideas, again, not to make a copycat, but I think that's a good kind of aiming point. And everyone had that moment. I think of Caleb the entire time wanting to get to the revenge on the Serpent Assembly.
Yeah.
And Trent and Gathan, but this whole time,
everyone wants to kill Trent.
Right, but this whole time investing in the group. At one part being a little selfish, and that realizing the way I get this is to have friends who have my back, so I have to achieve this. But also at one point doing things that risk his revenge, risk making things right. I might not come back from this, and when we do almost die, I'm not going to make that. I'm not going to leave because of that.
Yeah,
I'm going to push forward more, and I think going from a narrow revenge to a wider, the world matters. And I was with Ford, and Justin moved a little, but that's a harder one.
Bo moved a lot too, though.
Yeah, Bo had some stuff. So I think of that thing. I think this is one of these things of and I think that went from dumbasses to really true heroes,
but still dumbasses.
Mr. Dumbasses. But yeah, so I think those things that make that great move.
For the record, on YouTube, it might be labeled as a Rosgard, but in all the files of prints I have for Tuesday night, they are still labeled as the dumbasses.
Yeah.
Just for the record, y'all. Yeah, I think that's something.
Oh yeah, 100%.
What's cool with Wednesday night? Okay, I've talked a lot about Tuesday. I'm gonna talk about Wednesday right now. What's awesome about Wednesday is they all want to continue in Dark Toe, but they're all like, we need a break from our main. So they've done level 3 and level 5, right?
No, they've done level 5 and they're on level 11.
Level 5s and level 11s. They made whole new teams of pirates that are new characters to take a break and then get they'll eventually go back to their mains for the real big. Yeah, they are a bunch of dumbasses. I love them though. I mean, we just put red buttons in front of you on Tuesday, and it's like, button. Yeah, and I think that's and it's cool. It's fine to be like, I need a break from this character, because I was Wednesday too. Is that Ryan with Pyro, and he went from Pyro to Simon. Because he's like, I'm not in the headspace. This is a bad headspace for me right now. And that, I think, what's the word I'm looking for? Advocate for yourselves.
Yeah.
If you're like, I can't do this. I can't be in this mindset. I need to switch characters right now. That's better for the story than you playing a character that is making you have a mental breakdown.
Yeah. And I think, I think a big portion of it, is when doing that, and I've always been the best in facilitating this, and this was one of these things I want to make a document to try to get even for me, is this idea that when we do that, to make both things the best for the story.
Yes.
Right? Make both things that carry the story forward, not backward. And
someone on Friday who pushes a button. I don't know anyone on Friday who pushes buttons.
Because I like to think of so when I always think of somebody leaving is my goodness, Sam Riegel with Terry and Darrington. Which I thought was a really, really classic thing. And I thought that was a big because to me it was like I'm taking a break from this character, and because I feel like they need to do something, they need to have their own catharsis, and then come back and care for these other people. And then in the meantime, I'm Terry and Darrington, who does have a storyline, who does have this stuff that we're going to go through and have fun with. And everyone's going to be a part of it. I'm going to help people with their thing.
Even though everyone wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
He didn't tell anyone.
Yeah. But I think that was the thing, is that it was storyful when he exited, and it was storyful when they went to back to his original character. And it could be in such a way where, they let the characters let out frustrations.
Mm-hmm.
You betrayed us, you're this, while having the security of, you as a player didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. You as a player were totally cool, but we want our characters to go on this journey. I think that's where when we think through the breaks and think coming back, that's where I think that how does this move the story? Yeah. How does this move the story forward? So I think I was talking about before about cooperate, contribute to the ongoing story, mm-hmm. Right? Is one thing. I actually don't think I talk about that. So I'll talk about that as we're right into it. Cooperate with, contribute to the ongoing story, and that's the concept is this. Bring your energy and ideas to the table, creating a story by cooperating with everyone else. If you want your character's emotions and flaws to be part of a living part of the shared tale, act accordingly. All participants are equally responsible for the quality of the game experience. See your character as the tool with which you will shape part of the ongoing narrative. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's like your character is your brush, not to make their painting, but the painting everyone's making together. And that kind of comes down to this idea of whatever the overall mission of the group is. And I think this idea of moving your character, even in a metagame way, I think sometimes, and I was thinking of putting it this way, even if it's slightly artificial, of getting them on the same board as a group and going, here, I'm part of this group.
I will say that too. When it comes to metagaming, I absolutely adore the brothers. Because we're often Aiden will be like, I don't know that. And it's hysterically funny every time.
All right. Sorry for those of you having streaming issues. I'm looking, my stream looks strong from what I can tell. What?
Nothing.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at the sync, the network and everything.
Sorry. I'm not sorry.
I'm with a 12-year-old. It's fine. Funny story. It was one of the funniest things. I think it was like the second or third year, actually, I think, as a youth pastor. We were coming back from a camp, and I was getting all the kids off to their various thing, and parents were picking up their kids, and Paula was sitting there just waiting for
his bag.
He sent my bags, and he waiting for me to kind of finish with everything. She had these pigtails and everything, and I was like 28. You're like 27. Yeah, and the last parent picks up their daughter, and immediately I go over, and she, being very polite, now that the last kid's picked up, just jumps in, gives me a huge kiss, and
this is after the mom asked if I needed a ride home.
Yeah, after you know, you're like, no, don't understand what she was asking, and then it gives me this kiss. So it's this parent's idea, this child is kissing me when it's like my 1 year you're going to be wife, and she's like, how old is she? They're like, that's his wife. That was really funny.
Sorry, I have the mentality of a 12-year-old.
Yeah. It's okay. But yeah, so the general, because the other stream is good.
Ooh, I'm bright red.
Oh, you're talking about the YouTube one. Shirito is okay. Very cool. Okay, so we got a Twitch issue. Well, sorry about that. but yeah, so this idea of pushing everybody towards the ongoing story, and so I think that's one thing I want to kind of get the document, because I think the best games is when we say everybody pushed it towards the story. So I think when we take breaks, I think that's the things we're moving stuff with our characters. It's cool. I'm looking at my character, and I think I need a break from my character. So how am I going to weave this to make everybody's game the best it can be when I do this? That I'm thinking of everybody, including, and everybody includes me, but it is everybody. It's the table, and I think this idea of there's some people call the sanctity of the table, but
Please don't say that.
I'm not
Thank
going.
you.
It's not going to go on the document. Don't worry.
Thank you.
But yeah, how can we move the whole table, the whole game, everything forward in what we're trying to do when we do these things? So yeah, we're talking about cooperate with everyone else, contribute to ongoing story, play as the hero, or a hero, really, moving through. And that even comes down to that whole idea of, even when some characters might have I guess a role that we associate with the main character, we don't need to make it that way, right? So I think that's part of it. And like, for instance, I have seen renditions of like the King Arthur story, where King Arthur is not the main character. He is.
They're always better.
It's true. He's not a real character, but he's an ensemble, right? It's
He's a character, all right, just not in the right way.
Yeah.
I want to say that.
Right, and even though he's the wants to be king, and he is king, and he is this, that does not mean that is the he's the main. Everything has to be about him, right? Even if his safety matters, because to him, everyone else's safety matters, right? And so it's sort of playing it that way, and I think that's the idea. This is an example of that, of how you can have somebody who could be a prophesied one, or whatever we do in a game. Yeah, I think that's a really good one.
You mean like the chosen one?
Yeah,
Bobby.
yeah.
Oh, I love Bonnie.
Yeah, Merlin is a good one of that. Yeah.
Oh, Merlin was a good show.
Yeah, but I think those are these examples of how to think through those things. Yeah, let's see here, and the last one I'm looking at here is play to change and evolve. The idea is your character
stir up the world.
Your character should be far from an immutable entity.
Sam Neill and Merlin. Oh,
yeah.
Jackie, why you do these things to me? I'm gonna be thinking about Sam Neill for the next 20 minutes.
Your character should be far from an immutable entity. While their past may be complex and tragic, the way they will change and grow during play is more important. Right? Character evolution lies at the core of adventure, so embrace it. Is the other way to do that, right? So the idea isn't that I'm this thing because it's what my backstory says I am.
Amen, girlfriend. It lives in mine too. Amen. Live in my head right free.
It was a good Marnie series. That's okay.
You can just ignore me for the next half hour. I'm fine. I'm thinking about Merlin now.
The actress's name just went on my head. The one who played Mab.
In the Sam Neill version?
Yeah.
Carter.
Yeah, she was not Mab.
Oh no, she was
Morgan Le Fay.
Morgan Le Fay. Oh fuck, who plays Mab in that? You keep going, I'm looking it up. I'm back, y'all.
Miranda Richardson, yes.
Oh
yeah, because she was just in my gosh, why can I not think of any shows? The Double Agent show with our boy David Tennant.
Good Omens.
Yeah, Good Omens. In the second season, she played one. She just played one of the demons. She was really, really good in it. I was like, Miranda.
She is good.
Really good.
All right, I was looking at pictures. I went as Wednesday. I went as Morticia Adams today. While Saya went as Wednesday. And I'm looking at Angelica Houston's like cheekbones, and I'm like, that woman could cut someone with her cheeks. That's all I was thinking about the whole time. Sorry. Go on.
That's all I'm
thinking about. Thinking about hot people now. That's what you guys got me on. All right.
This is how it goes. So yeah. So I think, and letting people know that
Adam Family one shot. Let's go. Let's go.
We really could do that.
But it has to be like that one shot we started playing Death Save Repeat. It has to have an element of that to it because the characters can't really die even if you electrocute them. Because we got to make it like Addams Family True, like.
Yeah. I feel like that would be very good with Monster of the Week type mechanics.
Okay.
Zombie Apocalypse.
I remember Death Save Repeat too. Nah, see, that's what I love, and I'll be completely honest. Some of my favorite characters that I've made, have had like a 1-page backstory, which is vague but has enough details that I know what I'm playing. And by the end of like session 2, they are a completely different character because like Kira, as you all know, my scary blood cleric, she started out as a rebellious goth teenager in a caravan of dumbasses, and like they were stupid asses, like not even dumbasses like Tuesday night, like dumbasses.
Yeah.
And she wound up being like a high priestess to her god, so she changed drastically. But I think what's more important than the backstories, because the backstory is great and highly important, is knowing your character's flaws.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think playing into flaws is easier to maintain than trying to be like, no, I have to be true to this backstory, because we all have got a backstory. We're none of us.
We're not our backstory.
Yeah, none of us are backstory. I am not the same person I was 15 years ago. Thank God.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing is focusing on the players or drives. I think even have this idea of like
Sunny starts flaws doorknobs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's always a thing that we do.
I like that he has the 30-minute meeting times, but then also he doesn't have a limit on how many times you can do it.
True. Yeah, it's just whatever you need.
So don't ever feel like I already did it once. This boy will talk forever. Just do it. It's
true
fine.
Story.
What? Look, you're an extrovert. I get it. It's weird, but I get it.
Yeah. I think what's interesting when you talk about too much of that backstory, I would say you only do too much with a backstory if it becomes a prison rather than a diving board.
Because
right? It's all about what's going to support you and then fling you through the adventure in a very in a direction that's going to work.
Because I'll be honest, I think it was Bingos Bink has 5-page backstory that is like 8 font. And it's back and forth 5 pages. So, but I never got stuck on it.
Right.
So I don't think you can have too much, and I don't think you can have too little. I think what you're comfortable with that will allow you to role play is cool. I think you've gotten a lot better than you think you have.
I think that's a good thing with all this, right? A lot of this is like these are things that we're aiming for and having a goal. We just want to know where we're going with it, and I think that's the whole idea. I mean, and I think again because you're trying to find out who your character is partially, but you're also letting it springboard you into the next deal and exploring intricacies of human, like exploring what it means to feel this, right? So, for instance, I think like one of the things, like if like when a group fails, let's say. The idea is to lean into failure. Mm-hmm. And so the question is, let's say the thing we were fighting for, the amazing glass goblet that is going to free our town.
What?
Yeah. Is going to free our town of the evil or lord or whatever. We get it, it breaks.
Yeah.
Right. We do something stupid. We have too many natural ones, whatever. It's shattered forever. We can't get it back. There's nothing else they're going to accept. And I think it's coming around and going, we're not going to choose to play our characters in such a way that they're going to be defeated by this.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to take our characters and go, what is a way they can take this and move forward? In which we see the whole idea of the Marvel movies that are all the same, is a character that kind of gets a defeat, gets this moment of going, but then going, of being knocked down, but then going, hey, like, like how do we write this character, make this character now spring into the heroicness, overlook stuff, get powerful or whatever. And I think that's the thing. Yeah, and I think that's the thing.
Whatever works so that you can play your character and be true to the character, that's what you need to do it. Some people write too much backstory. They think they write too much backstory, but it allows them to know their character well enough to be like, my character would react as such. And some people are like, well, I know their flaws, so I know how they'll react.
Yeah, and so
it's how you do it. I will say, if you ever want your mind fucked, though, tell Matt, hey, my character has amnesia.
Oh, I'll have to learn that one. But yeah, I think to your point, Courtney, I think that's the whole thing is that it's so funny because none of this is about, like, none of the document we've talked about is about you having to have a backstory, right? It's actually about don't let your backstory limit your character.
Yeah.
Don't let your backstory control your play.
Or your lack of backstory.
Yeah, right. Like, that's the actual point of it.
Yeah.
And also, I would say with this whole idea of figuring out stuff as you go, I think that's good. I think one thing that's good to start with is this, right? The idea is, why in the hell am I going to be involved in this adventure? That is the most important thing you need to know. Why is my character going to go along with the group? Why is my character going to risk their life when the group does something stupid and the rogue almost gets us thrown in jail and we try to lose this, or we almost die, or this village dies? Why am I not, like, that? My character's not going to leave the group. Why? I think that's part of it. The idea that I'm coming to making a character. This character will love this adventuring party. This character will love this mission. This character is going to go with it. And then everything else forms around that.
Mm-hmm.
But that is going to be a big piece of this. And then forming that character in that way, I think that is the crux of an RPG.
Yes.
Right. And that's actually one thing that is always a tension that is good, of this idea of where's the game of the RPG, and then where's our like, I guess, purest story, whatever. And just understand that, like, that game requires us to always mold that character in a way that is contributing to the overall goal, that is helping the group achieve their goals, right? That's not running away doing something else. It is pushing forward with the group.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the gold is, I guess, with when it comes to backstories or lack thereof. So getting that, and then I would say providing the GM, it's nice to provide the GM with Jonathan actually gave me this term, daggers. And the idea are these things that if the hook has X, my character is in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If a child is in danger, if someone is being oppressed, if there's a person being forced to marry someone they don't love, of having a few daggers for your character, because that is super helpful. All right. I said it a lot. What should I put? What do you?
I don't know. Can you clarify?
Please, because I was like, just part of it's the delay. Yeah, part of it's the delay too. I was like, which part?
Yeah, I said all that too. I think, like, don't worry so much about, like, don't hyper fixate on something you're not good at doing. So if you're not good at writing out a backstory, do not hyper fixate on it. Like, because that just stresses you out unnecessarily. You can give this boy 2 sentences and he will do it. So I think it's be true to what works for you. Because, like, we got some teachers out here. You'll know what I mean by this. Nobody learns the same way. Not everyone learns the same way, and not everyone thinks the same way. So if it works for you to have like 3 sentences, cool, have 3 sentences. But like Matt said, I think the most important thing you need to do is just continually why. Just the why of it. Everything you just said.
Okay, cool.
Everything.
Thank you.
Play this back and word type it back.
Yeah, I guess even AI will get a transcript of this, maybe. That's probably.
Yeah. I think that's like, I think, like, we all hyper fixate on our flaws. I know I do. And I think that can mess with your head when it comes to, like, oh, but this person does it this way. Yeah, well, that person ain't you. So stop it. Just stop it.
Yeah. Like, one thing that I think I will put in, and because of the document, because the argument needs to be clear, it's going to be stated probably a little rough, but because I just want to make it clear, is It is a player's responsibility to create and know why their character is involved. They can work with the GM. They should probably work with the GM, and they can talk with it and whatever they need. But it really is the player's responsibility to come in and go, how am I going to have my character involved? What am I going to do? What is true about the character that they are involved in what's happening?
What are my daggers?
Yeah. What are my daggers? But also, yeah, like what is the main reason why we're involved in this? I think is important and really is a player thing, and why I have meetings to go, this is your thing, but man, make a meeting, like let's talk, like let's figure it out. And I think it's Courtney would actually say is like, if you tell me, Matt, I can never make any of your times, oh, we can figure out another time. Like my whole meeting thing, that's just like so that there's standard hours, there's standard things that I'm almost always available. I can always create something if we need to, that type of thing. So
it's not on Mondays, guys, please.
Yeah. So one thing, and I'm talking a little bit out of this book I mentioned at the very beginning, which was Your Best Game Ever by Monty Cook.
We're not sponsored by Monty Cook, but we would be if they asked.
It's true. Well, we're not sponsored by this product anyway.
Sorry.
But no, this is not a in-game thing. They're not giving me anything for highlighting this. I just really like it.
You got a crush on Monty Cook.
But
y'all just saw that. I'm not alone on that.
So one way to come up with a familiar character, if you are looking at, I'm kind of just going to this because we're kind of talking with Courtney, which is why I like the stream stuff, because we can just move over, is that a way to come up with a character working. It's not terrible to combine two well-known characters from fiction to give you your seed. So like an example would be Frodo and Ripley.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I am here for
get Sigourney Weaver.
Forever on the internet.
Someone's going to clip that. It's going to be bad.
And
then Frodo from Lord of the Rings, right? We got Ripley. And so you get those two characters. Like, that's a character you can make, right? You could do Miles Morales and Charles Dexter Ward. Right? You could do C-3PO and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Paul is like, my notes.
Oh my god, that's so
Joker and Atticus Finch. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
I thought you'd like this one. Hermione Granger and Clarice Starling.
Oh, that's good.
Right? And so that's a good way when we're talking about backstory character, all that type of stuff. To make it simple, like you can just take those two things, boom. Ooh, here we go.
Yes.
I think one of the things is hers coming mid-campaign into a group that is already established. So I'll tell you, there's a person who I actually saw do this the best, the very, very best I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of people do it good. A lot of people might play think y'all do it really, really good. But the best I've ever seen is this lady right there. Courtney. When she Tuesday night came in with Hope. Extremely well-established group. And it was awesome. And what I Courtney could probably talk at some point about, like, I don't know if you did anything, Courtney, like if you prepared or whatever, but what I saw was she came in and is like, I'm the gosh darn cleric. I am in this. You are my love interest. You are my friend. You are this, or
you
you
didn't do anything,
or you are this. Like, came in as a Courtney. I never saw someone come in mid-campaign as well as you did.
Yeah,
you
owned it.
You just owned it. You owned it, and you got in. And Tuesday was what Tuesday always is, which is accepting, right? They're ready to take somebody in. How a group should be.
All our games.
Yeah, all the games are.
But to be clear, you did such a good job of making your spot in that group that it was like last week or the week before, they forgot that Shiny's part cleric. They're like, oh yeah, we've got Shiny. He can heal too. You didn't do anything, but you did.
Yeah.
You came in and owned your spot and made a place for yourself and it was the best we've seen integrated. That was the word.
Integrated, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so I think and again, I think that you didn't prepare anything is even a testament to how everyone can do it.
Yeah.
It's not some secret sauce or anything like that. It's really coming in and going, here's my character, and again, it's a lot of the principles that we've already talked about tonight, which is I'm going to come in and support the group.
Yeah.
I'm bringing my character in because to me, Hope did. Hope wasn't about Hope. Hope was about how Hope helps the group.
By keeping the dumbass alive.
And she did it like Hope.
Yeah.
She did everything like Hope. But she had her own ship. She had her crew. So she would go, as opposed to going, hey, because some people would be tempted to do it like this. The Captain Hope goes and keeps talking to their crew about these new guys or whatever, this new thing. What do you think? She came in and was more like, oh, we are supporting these guys. Why? Because this is our TTRPG. And that's what's going to actually make the game work. And so, right, so it's kind of game first in a way of like, we need to make this work. Go ahead.
What I would say is going back to like, yeah, it is really hard to come into make campaign. That's no doubt. It is hard. But I think, and especially with you, Alex, is that I think you don't realize how valuable you are as a player.
Yeah.
And you are. And you add so much to like the story without realizing you do it. But I think you need to stop overthinking it. Because no one's going to be mad at you. Nobody's going to be like, I can't believe he's in the group. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
Like, I just think back to like Jalen. I'm going to keep talking about Jalen and Courtney tonight, apparently. But Jalen, and I think it was Pirates game again, when Courtney was like, well, I just don't want to take anything. And Jalen's like, shut up. You are part of our team. We all succeed together. We all fail together. And I think that's the thing to remember is like, yeah, it's really hard to come in. But I think like one thing is to watch previous episodes and be like, okay, this is kind of their flow. This is kind of their like, and I think Jackie can attest to this is I refer to Tuesday night as the dumbasses. And I think like exactly. I think that like people kept telling Jackie that like Tuesday night's a bunch of chaos dumbasses. And so Jackie, when they first joined Tuesday, had even said like, oh, I got the wrong impression of this group. And I think it's more important that like watch like the last 2 episodes if you're going to join a campaign mid-group to get a feel for what they really are. And I think that helps to alleviate some fears and some miscomfort in a game. But yeah, it's hard. But no one in our group is okay, the little girl's not in the room, I can say this. No one in our groups are bitches. No one's going to be a mean girl to you. So stop overthinking it.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting by virtue of you showing up, you're needed.
Yes.
Right? Because as soon as you come to a game, I've already made it so that they need you to succeed.
Yes.
Right? Like I've already done this. Likely that session, right? And so in other words, like your character has stuff to bring, you have stuff to bring. And not even just that, you're needed, your skills, your whatever.
There are also, I'm going to cut in.
Please.
There are also places in the world that you guys have never seen because someone might be missing an episode. So Matt switches information from one NPC to another NPC so that you can still get what you need. But like with combats and things like that, Matt is very good at balancing them towards your characters. So don't ever be like, well, I'll just miss this one. They'll be fine. No, there's a reason we're not doing the Lich tonight. Because it is balanced for your group and every single player. Nobody is like more important than someone else. Well, a cleric, but we'll just know. Look! Without a cleric, you're all going to die.
Good. Those Twilights, man.
I might be biased. I might like clerics the best.
All right. So yeah, so I would say that whenever you come in, just make your stuff, and I think that's the idea. And I think some of that.
You already asked yourself why you're going to be in the group. You already fit in.
Yeah, it's true because everyone asks it. And I think that nervousness you have there, Alex, also comes into the idea that I think don't feel like you need a solo RP. right? And I think that's where sometimes we get a little messed up is, oh, how am I going to do this? Well, because you're doing it with 2 other people, at least, if not 6 others. And it's just,
Introverts, unite.
I just want my unique thing. And I think, and one thing to put in what we're trying to put in the document there is this idea that, hey, when an Alex or when anybody says their thing, jump off of that. And I think that's a thing that sometimes we do really well, sometimes we miss the ball, right? And that's why we want to kind of put in a document as a goal is, hey, somebody says something, you jump off of that. Another person says a thing, you jump off of that. Kind of the yes and
again,
concept,
don't
right?
think you're intruding because you're already part of the damn group.
Yeah, you're already part of it, right? Oh, yeah, we were saying I'm intruding. I'm like, what do you mean? You're part of the game. Like, what are you intruding? Yeah.
And don't you dare say I'm sorry.
Press that delete right now. So we got the we talked about combining like 2 characters together from something popular as a good way. I just saw this one: Cersei Lannister and Sherlock Holmes. But so you get it, you can make really wild combinations, right? And that could get you a really fun character, and then you could basically give yourself quirks and flaws,
or you
right?
could just make yourself a teddy bear,
right? So again, this is real simple character creation that you don't need to have a lot of work on, right? So you do that, and then you add, like, it could be you dress in a single color, you insist on calling yourself by your strange or self-aggrandizing nickname, you talk loudly in your sleep. Yeah, not the rest. Girly, good example.
Dozer was the one that yeah, I know what you're typing. You're not hiding from me. Dozer was my favorite in that no, it wasn't Dozer. Who was it? It was one of Jonathan's characters that like sleptwalked. Was that Jonathan or Jalen? No,
that was Dozer.
That was Dozer. He was sleepwalked.
Yeah, a quirk. Yeah, that was the quirk because he sleepwalked all the time.
It was such a good quirk because like anytime you went somewhere, he'd be like, okay, I'm memorizing this in case I sleepwalk.
Yeah, and it was just this little sentence here or there, or we'd go, so we have the night, we wake up, and he just put in dozes in a tree.
Yeah.
And it was just a fun thing, and we never spent a lot of time on it, but it was so good for character.
Well, yeah, it adds something to your character.
Yeah, and it brings that little bit out. So that could be you never drink alcohol, you sing songs while doing other things. You're always trying to relate.
Bit of a klepto.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah, those type of things, and then you add in some flaws, right? So we've got you hate and or fear a particular type of creature. You are plagued by horrific nightmares and often awaken screaming. You're clumsy. You have serious allergies. You react very poorly to authority figures.
You laugh at all the inappropriate times.
Yeah. And so basically then you go ahead and you take this idea of putting these 2 characters together, take a quirk or 2, take a flaw or 2.
Which one of
now you've got something pretty powerful, right?
Which one of Ryan's characters was it that he's constantly like, I was doing this, but I didn't mean to because I meant to do this?
Oh yeah.
Hope's tail betrays it. Does it wag like a dog when Dolus is around? Like, I love that Hope's tail. It was going when she's our dog toe because she was mad.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. And then from there, like adding a quote or a motto, like by Odin's beer.
Oh God.
Flaming moons or Alonzi, right?
Bahamut will protect.
Yeah. And so I want to read real quick from this because I think it's actually a really funny thing about making a character quickly. And because I feel like I'm talking to Ace according to this part, then we're going to go to something else. But step 1, grab a favorite character from fiction, book, movie, television. Doesn't matter. Think about what they're good at and start there. Number 2, hash out the basic stats and abilities you need. Use the choice you made in step 1 as a guide. Don't worry about minutia. Don't lingo over all the choices in front of you. Just write down what you need to know in the first session, right? Number 3, develop a quick backstory based on the character you choose and the adventure. Just go, here's a backstory. This is why they're going to care about what's going on, right? Real easy. Name the character and give their appearance enough thought that you could describe them in 1 sentence. And then show up at the session and don't tell anyone you threw the character together while you waited for the barista to serve your latte in the coffee shop.
There you go.
Right?
Or tea.
Some
Some people don't drink coffee.
You know,
you, Courtney.
If you play them confidently, no one will know, right?
Exactly.
I think that's the base of something, and then you can figure out things as you go. You can say, "Oh, let me try to do this," and again, I think as we go, "Hey, I think my character wants to go in this direction." Every time the rubric is in order to make this best for everybody at the table. in order to further everyone's experience together.
No, I mean, don't be afraid. Like, oh, like I want to play this character. Yeah, and that's a great thing. Like, ask me, amazing character, 10 minutes.
Perfect.
I think like a lot of people too are like, well, I've never played this before, so I don't want to do that. Don't let that stop you. If that's what you're like interested in doing, go for it. When the first time I played a cleric. Didn't know jack shit about the cleric. I wanted to play a rogue, but my sister didn't want to play the rogue, so I wound up playing the cleric. And like, don't like stress about that, because like, first of all, like how many new classes and subclasses and all that stuff comes out? I 100% agree. Coffee is disgusting. But like, everyone's learning something. Like, nobody knows how to like 100% play their character from day one. So don't worry about being like, well, I don't know exactly how to do this. That is what the chat boards are for. Just ask Creed. He knows how to do everything.
Pretty much so does Jonathan.
He really does. It's kind of disturbing. Yeah, Jonathan too. I would think about locking Creed and Jonathan in a room and see how long they could go. And I decided I don't want to die. I see like, and Maya being a vegetarian, and we've gotten so much play off of the last minute decision that Maya was a vegetarian. Don't worry about the balance. Nobody in real life is balanced. Yes, this is fiction, but no. Yes, and like that's what I'm saying. Like, so I like that moment of like, I'm gonna do this. And then, you know, if you look, it was Liam who made this huge, beautiful story for Caleb. And then in the first episode, Jester goes, "Oh, you stink. You'll need to take a bath," kind of thing. And that stuck with him the entire time. No, but Ace, if you don't have to be balanced. Nobody in real world is balanced. Anyone who says that is lying.
Yeah, because
this man, creative genius, do not want to look at his desk right now.
That's a true story.
Like, nobody is completely balanced. It is fine to have stats all over the place. Just, you know, don't dump Khan. Don't dump Khan. Chris was always my lowest stat. In real life, too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, I think that's and I think the whole unit is back. So exactly, you need motivations, right? You need to know kind of why you're going to go into this, or you listen to be dedicated. Because I think beforehand, it's like if you're good with going, yeah, whatever is kind of said, I'm going to go with, and then this idea of keeping stuff. So I think that's really, let's say the
well, that's like with Kira, and when I first started Kira, her healing didn't hurt, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, dude, it's like you know. It should hurt if you're a blood cleric kind of thing. Yes, we were talking about building characters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had hit building characters a little bit. We're talking about a little bit about backstory stuff. Like the idea simply was because we're talking about how your backstory is your.
Why?
Yeah, it's about your diving board, not your platform.
Yes.
Right. It's not your character. It's just where your character starts and launches them forward. And then we just got to, I'm bad at backstories, blah, 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 blah. And so we started to kind of just talk about that stuff.
Blah, 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 me.
Blah, blah. Blahs aren't negative. It's, yeah. Etc., etc., etc.
He's so cute. Yeah, I think it's, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yeah, like a one little quirk you put in. I love it.
Yeah, and I think that's an example where ideally, right? So ideally, we want to, again, because it's not necessarily all the time. Ideally, we want to take some of that stuff and go. Now, what is the next motivation?
Yeah, what's the next motivation? What's the next?
Because it goes like is it's a commitment to always have a character involved in the story from like 1 through 20. Again, taking breaks. I think we talked about that earlier. Like we talked about the ways to take breaks that still do the best for the game, but to move everything forward. But I think that it's and so we talked about the idea that it's a player's responsibility to come up with the reasons for their character to be involved and to move it, but can provide the GM daggers, which are the things that, hey, this always motivates.
I would say this is not at all having to do with that, Jackie. There's no such thing as good enough player to figure that stuff out. I think it's more being realistic about a character, like, because you know in your life you're like, this is what's going to happen, and then someone throws a giant ass curveball at you and you flow with it. You have to. You have no choice. And I think it's more of a we can't control those around us, so you have to, like, and I do this in my own life because I'm just a worrywart and I overthink everything, is that I'm like, well, if I tell someone this, they're either going to do this or this. And then, like, you just follow that logical path with your character. I don't think it has anything to do with being a good enough player or not. Because I'll admit, y'all miss some things, but I've been married to them for like a long ass time. So I hear things differently than you guys do. So I pick up on where things are going before you guys get there. But I think it's more just being true to your character. And with Vera, like, yeah, you weren't expecting that, but you were true to your character. Like, she had a hard time accepting it at first, and she kept thinking another shoe was going to drop, which is completely natural. And then, like, you went with Vera, and you made it, like, this natural progression to having this new motivation now. I don't think it has anything to do with being a good player, because you are a good player. So I don't like that comment.
Yeah.
Don't talk bad about yourself.
Yeah, because I think the whole idea is just is again, it's more of a commitment of just going, like, what I will do is have my character involved, and my character will have reasons, and then just go with that. Then the character, the idea is for us not to hold so tightly onto a character that we're not going to let them develop with the group.
Right.
However the group goes, the character goes. And like, and that's kind of I guess that's the social contract. Something we're kind of talking about in this is that once I put into this character, it's no longer mine. It is the groups. It is the tables, and we share it, and everyone shares their character, and all of us together are letting this go forward.
That sounds like they don't have any control of their character.
Or it's no longer only mine.
There you go.
So sure, yeah.
Well,
so it's no longer only mine, but it's all of us because we are a table. We are.
I'm going to use their as example because you brought it up, Jackie. I think if you were not good enough of a player with Vera, you would have kept Vera the exact same after being forgiven. That would be not a good player. But you use that to better the group and to better the story. Okay, I'm done. I don't like when people are mean to them. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, no, you're good. I think that's the whole thing. I think it goes back to the Beth Bernardo concept we were having before, of even though she had her whole family and everything she wanted, she still risked her life and all those things. It was like, why? And then like that was sort of the idea for that.
The mom in me doesn't like when you're mean to yourself.
Yeah. And so one of the things here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing for everyone. Comes to a TTRPG, comes into the games from a background, whatever your background is.
My background is chaos. I will hurt you, child.
How dare you write that word?
And I will hurt you more. Let's go.
But everyone comes from somewhere, and it's, I think that's when we're kind of saying, hey, this is what we're trying to do, so we can know where we're headed. I think that's one of these helpful things of there's improv and storytelling in character development in a TTRPG, but it is not one of those things.
Right.
It is a game. It is a story. It is a character development thing. It is all these things together. And so, like, bottom line, the first thing it actually is a game we're playing together.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all have to further the game. And then it is a game with characters and stories and all these things.
Or throw the whole game off course and start a completely new game with the same characters.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
And again, it's one of these things. It's the social contract of the thing, right? It's coming together, and so it was one of these things. Like the concept I've been looking at a little bit is the idea of story over character. Like you're one of those storytellers, and while you want your characters to succeed in their goals, even more important, you, the player, want to succeed at your goals, right? So there's character goals and there's your goals. So as a player, our goal should be having fun and telling a good story. And in a good story, characters sometimes fail, right? Characters sometimes do certain things. And so I think that's the idea, is that we come in and we go, okay, what's my goal as a player? And that is to have fun and tell a good story with everybody together. We're together telling a story. And then my character has goals. And so my goal is to work my character and play my character in such a way that these things are working together. And I think it sounds very mechanical sometimes. But when it happens, and there's so things where it happens is when we tend to say that was the best session ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing. And it's not about being perfect with it. I think it's a big thing with everything, right? It's
there is no room for perfect.
It's just it's like in the document, almost like we just recognize this is when we all have the most fun. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to say that's what our goal here is, or whatnot.
I'm getting tired. Guys, I think the sugar's crashing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so that is more or less the idea of it.
It's been a minute in mechanics. I'm tired.
Oh yeah.
Zaya gave me all sorts of garbage sheet, and now my belly hurts.
Yeah.
So yeah, to recap, we are going to make this into an actual document, but this kind of helps to word vomit before we word vomit onto a page.
Yeah, basically, and it was good talking some of the stuff out, and I think that's the whole thing. Like, so one of the principles, right, is the idea of show up at the table with a character who's eager to be part of the story, right? And like, you can't show up with the table with a PC who refuses to go on adventures, insists that staying home where it's safe, and we don't want to force the GM to come up with some impetus to get your character involved.
No introverts, apparently.
Right.
Hey, wait, I've got a hermit and he goes on adventures.
Right. You can have a character who needs some kind of push, but that push is the player's responsibility, right? And so not anyone else's. And so no one should have to drag some character kicking and screaming.
I don't know. They dragged Kirk out of his home kicking and screaming. It wasn't very hard.
So the idea is we get the principles together, we'll put all this out, and then it goes out to, we're going to get some comments on when it's written, and then
Kirk does like rock.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think, so like we said, we're gonna get into a thing, and we're gonna get it out to everyone for everyone to look at before we finalize it, just like we did with the business cards, just like we did with the logo.
Yeah. And then we'll probably do an official like form thing where it's like signed and those types of things, like at least email signed and all that stuff. And then we'll
that way there's no confusion.
Yeah, because it'll serve as a good base for everyone coming in, everyone here. This is what makes our games great. It's basically like, we all agree these are things that make great games. And we all want to try to make great games. I'll look at this because I think this is actually a really fun statement. Help one another achieve plot goals as well as each other's individual goals. And I think what I'd add to that a little bit is, while we do our best to take our individual goals and weave them to the plot.
Thank you, Bobby.
And that's kind of the idea. Like, and so it can look like something. This is an example of that. Is, let's say, like, I'm here to find my long lost mom or whatever.
I'm not. She's a wanker. That's in character. I love my mom in real life. I just thought about that.
Woo! Right, we might have that idea. But gosh,
Sorry.
Right, we might have that, but where might they reside? And that's a good time to work with your GM and go and like, hey, it feels like we might be going here. This might be a good place for my character's mom to be. And then that's a place where it'd be cool because that's a real goal for this character. Like, you let me know, I really want my character to achieve this. Cool. Because I might have had an NPC who was going to do something, and now it's going to be the mom. Or now it's going to be this, and now it's going to be this. I might not tell you, so you're surprised still. But that's where this kind of works out, right? I think that's when this hits its best thing. And then and to go back to this, when we find that NPC, it ends up being the mom. That ends up changing everything for everybody. And a great example of this is Monday and Jackie, right? Where we had the collar maker be Esme's mom.
We'll say it for you, Courtney. Fucking lead.
Yeah, and that changed. I mean, to be honest, in my head as I was writing this, it changed Awakener from kind of being a villain to going like, well, let me revisit this. And as I had to kind of get out Esme's mom, figure out all these things and how that went, when I realized, yeah, this is a good part of the story. This is a good story beat. It moved the league into this thing, and so it created something really awesome. And so these goals were concurrent, right? To stop the enslavement by these collars, right? This was a concurrent goal. And then as we decided, hey, we really want to move this to Southern Tal'Dorei, or to kind of a slightly different setting. Cool. Let's have the league providing some of these scholars to a group. So it just kind of moves this forward. And I think that is, again, where we talk about the best game ever. Yeah. And that was something that was like maybe interesting, but it was just sort of how that flowed through, I think, some of the conversations Esme had, and it changed some stuff, and it just changed Awakener at times. I made some, I was thinking like, yeah, I think
again, not a black and white, never black and white.
Yeah,
I love that about your villains.
Yeah, and I think that's where the gold is, right? With this idea of what a character wants and what the plot is, because we had this overall plot, and then we're like, oh, we found this stuff out, and then it changes to something entirely different. And I think that's probably what we're talking about, and why we want to make a document that supports that. And basically, it's so funny because as I'm saying these things, I saw a lot of the comments. People are like, "Oh yeah, yes, but sometimes it feels like we forget them, or at least I forget them. And so it's like, let's put this in there, this thing that we've all said yes to, so you can go, yeah, these are the principles that, as we follow them, are going to help us make this really, really good experience." And then we can go back to this, right, when we talk about having the 3 to 4 person groups instead of the 1 groups. And like one thing I want to write as a thing is like, let's not do one-on-one discussions with NPCs as much as possible,
unless you're seducing them in the bedroom. Then okay, because that should not.
We've probably already faded to black at that point.
I don't know. Tonk and Bingles were talking for a while before you faded to black.
Well, true, but that's what I'd say. I actually would even change that around, like have that be another thing, maybe. Like I said before, this idea of seducing somebody and have something else going on.
What if it's pillow talk? I'm gonna stop.
You're gonna stop right now.
Yes, do it. Well, see, now you say that jokingly. Put that up. You say that jokingly, but Michael took Marlboro with Rue because he didn't want Rue to be alone, and they wound up having a threesome with the jet slot.
That's true. True. Yeah, and I think working the 3-person group into these things.
Yeah.
I know. It's like that'd be the rule, the big title thing. Always make it a threesome.
Sorry.
And everyone giggles. But yeah, I think working those ideas into it, thinking of like, let's have the wide stage for that.
Yeah.
And how that all works together.
New slogan, baby.
Everyone's on it. Which is why I want to do this. I was getting some of these documents from several sources and going, I think one of these things, I want it to sound like us. I don't want to just copy and paste stupid things, And like I said, why I don't like Spotlight and those things.
Like kick the camera.
So good. But yeah, I think
that's good.
That is. Yeah, we're going to be transitioning as we probably get sort of to the end of like this hangout. Any questions anybody has about anything, now's a good time to throw that in there. Put something in there so we can quickly do some stuff with it.
I will say again, like we're trying to figure out a way to do recaps that isn't so taxing on me, because I have my lovely migraines, and sitting in front of a computer hurts, and sitting in front of a light hurts. So we're trying to figure out a way to bring back recaps and have them going consistently.
Yeah. Because one thing I definitely noticed is as the recaps stopped, we were getting more confused in game about what was happening.
Yeah, and it's just
it's too taxing on you. So we're working.
I've lost feeling in my hands more than I want to admit to. So it's really hard to take notes now. And I get the blinding migraines, and like even with this light right now, I keep moving further back, and you guys keep seeing me moving further back because I'm trying to get away from the light.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find a way to do that. We are talking about getting recaps back.
Yeah, here we're gonna do the slightly
will you?
cult informer.
Thank you, baby. Oh, that's so much better. Thank you. Now I can hide. Yeah, but any questions, go ahead, ask them. I might be a smartass to answer them, but you know.
So what we're possibly thinking of doing is having her come on and do like a
time.
Yeah, but after every game.
Yeah, after
like
every
10
game
minutes,
for 10, 15 minutes.
And then we can probably that way we can link that into the channels.
Well, I do. There is a channel in there that's art department and rants, but post game review show. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. And maybe it would work better if it was you and me.
Oh, doing it together.
That way, it's not as hard on me, because then you can add in things where my brain stops working.
Yeah, could do kind of a commentary.
That would be good. That might work better. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's just the taking of the notes and the bright lights is hard. Yeah, that would help. Actually, sharing notes with me would help too, because a lot of times with the notes, I'm trying to be vague at points because I don't want to tell you guys something you haven't figured out yet that I figured out. I.e. i.e. like Nilumia being Titania. And I'm like, oh. And then like 20 episodes later, everyone was like, oh. So like, yeah, your guys' notes would help too, because also then it's what other people thought the highlights were besides just me. Because, I'm always going to think the, fart jokes are the funniest part.
Yeah, which incidentally is one reason why I like highlights and why I ask y'all for reviews. Because one of the reasons is when I hear what everyone loved more, definitely I've made things into plot points that weren't. Mm-hmm. Or what you guys thought was a plot point. I'm like, and I was like, oh, wow, that really hit
Or bringing back an NPC over and over and over and over again. I'm going to hurt you, Alex.
Yeah, we could post it in the review section of the games. Yeah, but again, I think we're doing the post game so people can put some of that stuff in there, and then we can go ahead and do. That'll help us do some of the stuff.
I'm gonna say to you what I said to Courtney is that you are not allowed to judge yourself, because we are always our worst critics. We are always the people who are the meanest to ourselves. Anyone who's artistic or like creative, we are always the meanest people to ourselves. So you don't have a right to judge yourself as a player. We get to judge you as a player. You don't get to judge you. No mean things to yourselves.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to a lot of that stuff, when we feel that way, I think one, that's a very unhelpful way to phrase it, because it doesn't help you be better. And I think the best thing is how can I be better at X is a great way to think about it. Because like, for instance, if I would be like, oh, how can I not be a horrible GM or something like that, right? I know isn't helpful, but going, how can I help this game be more into the story, right? How can I do this? I was the thought process I had for this last Monday night where everyone seemed to like what we did to introduce the characters was, how can I help us from session 1 feel more like a complete and good unit? And so that's kind of where this question was coming from. And so phrasing those things, and I think Though I will say, if you are looking to like be a better player in any type of game, I'm going to say it again because I've read it and I really like a lot of the stuff that's written, and I've been quoting from it during this time. Is Your Greatest Game Ever by Monty Cook. I think it's like, I think the PDF's like $19 or something. I think the hardcover's 50. I'm not getting the hardcover. Sorry, Monty Cook, but I won't have that type of cash for the book. But I think that does. I think some of the things, Alex, that you even worry about, it addresses. So I think that might be good. At least as a starting point. By the way, any play actually, I think.
Mama Bear and me says, "Don't be mean to yourself."
Yeah. So I'm not seeing any other questions coming up. So I'm trying to think of anything else. I know I do want to do a Planescape game at some point. We'll just see if anything opens up for it.
We're waiting for the Vikings to drop. We can do that.
Yeah, waiting for Valakin clans.
Where's the Candy Cash? We ate it.
Yeah, that's an idea.
Ooh, I have a whole bunch of minis that are food-related villains, so I 100% want you guys to do a food game.
Yeah. Well, so I do have something coming. It's called Silver Plate. Silver Plate is a entire food-based world where you play food fighting other food.
I may or may not have already made like 50 minis.
Yeah. So just so you know, that could be a thing that comes up at some point. Yeah. Vikings on Sunday night. Actually, that would even work because Sunday afternoon's going Vikings.
Sunday afternoon.
But I could, but just like we ran double, we could end both.
Anything upcoming for holidays? Well, holiday minis, obviously. Yeah. I haven't decided on a file yet, and I wouldn't tell you even if I had, because they're surprise. So I want those. I want Silver Plate too. I got so excited I started looking for random minis. Holiday. Are you thinking Christmas special again or no? Like we did one like around Christmas.
We'll definitely do a holiday Christmas thing. I'm definitely gonna do that.
Are we gonna do another New Year's?
Did we do?
I think we did. No, I don't remember if we did New Year's.
It probably depends on so the way we usually figure out holiday stuff a lot of times is first we kind of figure out what every game is doing on those nights. Mm-hmm. So sometimes if it's like half the game or not, that's when we'll go do holiday. It does then go with family needs and those types of things.
I found the coolest looking Krampus mini.
Oh yeah. Sorry. So I always do a Christmas one because it's a lot of fun. And like the Halloween one, we can do a Halloween one. This really because it was I think I said at the beginning, but also was because I needed to do this. Yeah. I was like this whole document that I'm talking about really is the front of my mind. And I'm like, that's what's been, and it's gonna be done.
And you have a one-track mind.
That's true.
That's true. He hyper fixates.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah, no, we'll have some upcoming holiday stuff. If we do Valentine's Day, it'll be anti-Valentine's Day. Are we gonna take time off? No.
No, we might. So
we'll probably take Christmas.
Yeah, so we're not doing games Christmas. We wouldn't be doing Christmas Eve.
We'll do an early Christmas Eve if we do it, because Christmas Eve night we do our traditions.
Right. If we did anything, it would be like Christmas Eve morning or something. Yeah. Like we do a special thing if we wanted to get something fun together.
Obviously,
but yeah, the night game on Christmas Eve wouldn't be. We wouldn't do anything on Christmas. Those definitely are ones for us that we don't do.
Thanksgiving's we may not.
Won't do New Year's Eve because of Saya now. Our daughter wants New Year's Eve now.
That's right.
So we'd be given New Year's Eve to her, but we would be doing New Year's Day. So I would say those three. Thanksgiving. That's a rough one for us because
it all depends on how Thanksgiving goes. Thanksgiving might be one that's like, check Discord. We might be like, hey, anyone want to do a one shot? Because Thanksgiving is a little hard with a sensory child who is food motivated.
Yeah, so we'll update you on Thanksgiving because that's always I'm gonna say Thanksgiving for us isn't always feels like Thanksgiving, so that's why we'll sometimes do it going on there. So.
Yeah, anti-Valentine's Day. That's what I called it. I don't do Valentine's Day. Y'all better love me 365. I don't do Valentine's Day, Courtney. It is anti-Valentine's Day. If we do something, it will be anti-Valentine's Day. It'll be like the end of the quest is you have to eat a heart. No, we won't. Yeah, we don't. That's a nice way to say Valentine's Day's crap.
But yeah, we're
not a fan.
Yeah, not a fan of those too much. So you like to?
I'm a fan of February 15th for half price candy.
But yeah, we want to take Valentine's off. I think
it's not a holiday to us.
Yeah, there's a few things, so I think it just sort of depends.
Yeah, Thanksgiving will let you know. Christmas Day, I know. Christmas Eve would be early.
But yeah, and we didn't do a vacation this year as much.
Yes, we did. We went to Gen Con.
Well, yeah, but a family one.
We didn't do a family vacation.
Oh yeah, because the last time we usually would be at like Great Wolf, but we didn't do that this time. So.
Cheers, me, Sandy.
Yeah.
All right, but nobody gets alcohol poisoning.
But yeah, the idea of that Sunday Night Vikings, I could definitely kind of get into that.
Two Vikings on that, yeah.
Double the Vikings.
I gotta go build an airship, guys.
Yeah. All right. So the questions, yeah, definitely doing stuff, and yeah, one of like, and that's kind of the fun. The nice thing for as far as us taking time for ourselves is we get to pick up our kids from school every day. Every day we get to drive an hour with our daughter around to just talk to her, and then we get her brother, and we spend usually another hour doing something. So we really have a nice setup with the timing, how everything works. I think Mondays are nuts, but that's
Mondays suck.
Yeah.
Monday night is getting an airship.
Yeah, you logged off or whatever.
Yeah, you guys are getting an airship. I'm modifying it a little bit. I'm looking at some prints right now. There's none that I'm in love with. So
yeah, because here's the map I made. So
yeah, I got to do some research on that because I'm not loving what you gave me, but I'm also not loving a lot of the minis I'm finding it for it. So it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I guess one of those things. Like, because I think the big thing was the sail and like the wolf on the front, and yeah, and I think from there. Like, because what we can just do, and we might do this, is we might actually, like, instead of having those digital, I might delete the digital and do overhead photos.
Yeah.
That with what you do. And that way it's more what they said and what they're thinking of, because they thought of the library and these things, and they did things that can go.
And I'll be honest, I was very confused by the sleeping arrangements in that airship, because there's, like, one bedroom, and it took me, like, literally, guys, an hour and a half. After looking at it, and we're driving the car, and I was like, oh, they were bunk beds. Not even kidding you. It was like an hour and a half later.
Yeah, the alcohol med bay that we made. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I need to do a few things and work with it a little bit, but I am looking for that.
Yeah, that's what's nice is that we can do stuff where we grab like some art to get us going, and then she can then she can customize it.
My brain goes
to the full thing. Big deal. Yeah, so I don't know if Ewoks are here, but I was going to tell them as far as candy haul, dude, there's like these thin mint chocolate covered pretzel things from Girl Scouts.
Y'all, gold. I'm about to get a new addiction.
I
think that's all I got. Anything they should look forward to?
Y'all
did not use my beautiful Titan.
Yeah, so Monday that she made a big bad that y'all skipped, and she is still mad about that.
Gorgeous. Right,
someone's getting it.
Someone's getting it.
It is a really gorgeous.
That's like y'all can blame Will from Wednesday nights when that Tarrasque shows up. Whoever gets the Tarrasque is screwed.
Yeah, I think other than eventually we do want to get together to do the Baldur's Gate playthrough.
Yeah, we're gonna do a Baldur's Gate playthrough. But I'm going to be honest right now, customization of the character will take an entire episode because I am anal retentive.
What?
You're lucky you're cute.
So we got to figure out when you want to do that.
Well, we talked about doing tea time.
Yeah, drinking tea and playing Baldur's Gate, yeah.
During actual tea time, which would be like, yeah, there's a Tarrasque. Yeah, tea time, we figured it out like 10:30, 11 o'clock our time would actually be tea time in England, so we're talking about it.
Yeah. Nice. And then but there's a mod that you can put onto it, which I think we're going to when we play it, is it puts voting onto Twitch when it comes to those dialogue choices, so that everyone watching, y'all can vote.
Y'all can screw us.
You could gotta go like, oh, take this one,
Again,
and
make it a threesome.
and the percentages of the votes will show up live in
That
the
sounds
game interface when you vote for it. So it'll be.
We've got a couple things coming up.
And we're hoping that, and I'm wondering if that could be part of the review stuff.
That'd be cool. I think we're making Jackie have just as dirty as mine as the rest of us.
I think he was already there.
Okay, valid. I should have thought about that with Misty. Yeah, he's already been there. Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, so there's that, and then I'd love to get Girl by Moonlight at some point going, because that whole concept was really fun. Get from T-Punk Tea. Okay.
T-Punk Tea. Write that down. We have tea from what's it called?
Yeah, the fandom one. The
T-Punk Teas. Okay.
Adagio Teas, I think is what Molly turned us on to.
What I will say right now is I almost spent way too much money at Gen Con, and I was smart enough. Adagio Teas. They're real good.
Yeah, we serve some of those. Yeah.
I was real good, and I walked away from the D&D flavored teas because in my brain I was like, okay, those are really cool, but the other thought in my brain was that's probably just green tea.
The D&T.
But like there was like Phoenix tears and stuff like that, and I was like, it's just gonna be cinnamon tea. But like it was cool branding. I was smart. I almost spent too much money, and then I was good. Y'all, if you ever go to the Indianapolis Gen Con, so easy to spend too much money.
Come on, Gene Baylor Games, everyone come.
Yeah, true. That's it. World-ending events that we need that can be shared. I don't know. Watch Tuesday night. Oh no, I'll give it to Wednesday, having fudged the world a little bit too with the. I wish the Deadlands had never happened.
Yeah, which did a bunch of different stuff. Yeah,
that's where like if you notice things are a little off in your world. Yep. That was Wednesdays, but Tuesday's good at causing world-ending catastrophes.
I think the biggest thing, and anyone who's been watching the nights definitely knows the league is becoming more and more of an issue.
Yes.
To every night, right?
They're ramping up their douchery,
and they're very big, and so probably through a bunch of nights, depending on how things go, they have to be dealt with in some way. So, however, we go with that. So, and yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest thing.
I would say because the Fae things are getting settled. Yeah. They're starting to settle down because like people are getting to like, oh, we got to go fix this. We got to fix it now. Like Tuesday's in there trying to fix it. Like Sayuri's taking like ownership of her realm. Yeah, I agree 100%. But like, so the Fae Wild stuff is dying down. That's getting handled. The league is starting to come up as asinine people as they are. Play as the league. Don't tempt me. That was a good idea.
Interessante. Yeah.
So I fall down a lot of D&D wormholes on Pinterest, and my favorite is it's a 2-game arc. And the first arc is you play through it and you have to beat the bad guy and whatever. Second arc is playing as from the bad guy perspective about how the first season was really the bad guys. And I'm like, oh, that's good. But I'm up for an all villain game. I love me the villains. Ukatoa's possibly happening.
Yes.
There's been a lot of references to Ukatoa on a few different games.
Yeah, especially Wednesday's probably the most connected
to Ukatoa.
Because Wednesday is where all the port cities of the world have been destroyed, and they are in the process of being rebuilt. That's why how the league is actually gaining more power over Exandria.
Not Nicodranus, baby. Woo-woo.
Yeah, but and they're fighting against that, and the chaos made by that has been leaked as a possible fuel for an awakening. and
For
those types of
awakening
things, yeah.
Ukito.
So I think that's sort of, there is those types of things.
Mm.
And like once it's run into the league a little bit. So there's kind of the big
Saturday's got a little bit of a hint at Ukitoa as well.
Yeah. The big forces, I guess, really are like there's the Druid Force, there's the Iron Authority, and then the
Fucking
League,
League.
Okuto itself. Yeah.
What's the most challenging subclass that you have seen play? What's the most challenging subclass? I think Ukuto is not benevolent. I don't know if it's so much a subclass. I think Thursday Night Witches, you guys, I still don't know how you do it, but everyone playing that first part being like the same class almost is insane to me. But I don't know, I think every subclass is different to other people. Like, I would hate to play, what one is it that I don't like? I can't remember right now. Look, I like to know my spells. I like to keep people alive. I'm not really, I don't really like being the punchy character. I think Barbarian is challenging. For other people, they're like, Barbarian, so simple. I think it's up to you and how like your brain works.
Yeah, I think it's like asking like what's the easiest like deck to play in Magic the Gathering. It's
what do you prefer?
Very much your personality. Like some people would hate blue, and I freaking love blue.
Yeah, don't ever play blue against it, boy.
And that's like
3 hours of being trapped in a loop.
Especially blue green Ghost Simic. But it's
I wanted to murder him. I was pregnant. I could have. Sorry.
Well, the point is I think it's really just your personality. And there's some people, anything somebody says is hard, someone's going to find really easy.
Yeah.
And then I think that's the best. That's the thing. I don't think there's anyone that just is difficult, necessarily.
Yeah, I think it depends on you. Because like I know some people who could just like Jonathan's a good example of he just understands every freaking class and he's like, no, that's this no, that's a concentration, no, that's a wisdom, and I can't keep that crap straight. Okay. Yeah, I think a good bard is difficult. And I say that in that I have seen some really bad bards.
Yeah.
I think it's how you play the bard.
The most challenging thing about a bard is that their play pattern isn't overly obvious.
Yes.
And so it's about having to spend some time to figure out
Hence how I've seen some really bad.
Yeah, how your bard plays, and then being willing to not be amazing in every situation, but be helpful.
Yes.
Because I think the biggest thing with bard is that they're helpful in every bit of the game, but not amazing in every bit of the game. And it's more willing to go through that because they're also typically egotistical in nature as characters.
And no, Alex, your Sunday bard is not a bad bard. By bad bard, what I mean is I've seen someone try to play a bard like you would play a barbarian.
Right.
Your bard should not be the front line.
Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah. Thank you, Courtney. That's what I'm saying. So I've seen people try to play a bard like they're a fighter. You're not a fighter. You are I will help everyone survive this goddamn thing.
Yeah, so I think the bards are they're almost pure support at times, and so it's really
at times they're pure support. Other times they're the ones that like pull a freaking brain out of a field.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got some stuff can do some damage, but it is more of an idea of how am I going to. Yeah. I like the concept we're saying where it's like, how am I going to help everybody? That's a class.
I want to see Molly play a dad bard.
So a dad bard by Molly.
Because Molly has some of the best dad jokes in games that I'm like, I want to see Molly play a bard that does nothing but dad jokes. Sorry, personal idea in my head. Kind of like when we made Nayland and I was like, nah, we need Robin to play Nayland. I want to see Molly play a dad bard. Because I think it would be funny as hell. What?
I think you're right.
You're tapping me. I don't know why. This can be done. Yes. No, I think it's whatever you. I think it depends on the person for the classes and the subclasses.
Yeah, so it speaks to
Back to the original question.
Yeah, when you feel like you're going to have fun. I think when determining a subclass, I think going back to the type of character you're trying to play is really vital.
And what you enjoy playing.
Yeah, but I think that's the whole thing. When if you're taking that,
then fine. If you're gonna subclass into it, go for it. But if you are straightforward, you are not the front line.
Yeah, but I think making sure the personality you're trying to make your character and your class match.
Yes.
I think when people don't have those match is when they say the subclass is really hard.
Yeah.
I think that's where that usually comes from. Is that. Because you're trying to get these two things. So it's like with D&D, that's one of those things where I think sometimes it's one of the only games I say this actually. I don't think it's overly helpful for most people to start with their character, then pick a class. I think the best thing in D&D is to pick a class and then make your character be really good fit for that class, and then have fun with that, and make sure it's something you still like to do. But I think that helps a lot when you do that for most people. And I think if you're a very advanced player or you're a player who operates differently, there's always the exception to every rule, right? And so you know some people are the exception that prove that rule. But I do think that's generally the best tactic.
That's a great question. That's why you can just keep playing whatever the
keep
hell
us
you
around.
want.
Yeah.
That's why I said before, don't worry about being balanced. If you want to try something new, try it. What's the worst going to happen? I got to make another mini. Won't be a first time, won't be a last time. Like, that's one thing I do love about D&D is that, like, the variety. You can figure it out. You can play multiple different characters and figure out what you like and what you don't like. I do know that you like fireballs.
Yeah. That's one thing with Dimension 20 that I really, if you watch what they've done sometimes, is they will had someone playing a character that's a certain type of class, and they go, I retrained as this in mid-story because the person just hated, like they obviously were having a hard time making the class work for them and how they made their character. And there's kind of what we were talking about before, right? Where the character isn't a platform, it's a diving board. Where the character dived was not where the class was diving to. And so they started to divert. And so they said, cool, between sessions, I retrained. And so they changed everything so that it more aligned with where they were diving with the character.
Yeah.
And I think that is where you should really work on some of that.
And to be an example, this wasn't the character's choice. This was you screwing with the character because of them fucking with timelines. He took one of the pirate characters who was what was he originally?
Barbarian.
He was a barbarian and he became
a monk.
Because of something that happened in the changeover and screwing with timelines, basically. But like, if you're like, I want to change my character, like, it's fantasy. We'll strike your ass with lightning, and now you got new abilities, which he has done to me.
Yeah, there's those things. Yeah, and you did a great pirate cleric.
Yeah, pirate cleric. There's no character that you can't make with a D&D sheet.
Yeah. So I think, and when we've been talking about the classing tier, the Dungeon Dudes is really great to go for tier rankings. And I would say this.
And what I like about Dungeon Dudes, real quick, is I don't feel like, it's gonna sound wrong, I don't feel like they're high intellectuals in that I don't feel like they talk over anyone's understanding.
Right.
Like they don't dumb it down, but they don't like make it philosophical. Oh my god, I can't talk anymore. Continue.
Yeah. But when you look at those tiers, I would say if you stick in B and A, B and above, I guess, tier rankings, then you are those are going to be fairly simple to play and have fun with. And there's some S class in there, so like kind of B, A, and S basically. C and below classes is where I think are more like make sure this really fits and you want to play this, because they're not going to hit those major deals.
There's a tabaxi race. Go right ahead.
I know. I mean,
it's already there.
I was right there, man. Hitting the monk tabaxis, the rogue
There you go,
tabaxis, they
you're
are
done.
fast, man.
Yeah, I think that's like you were talking before about the two combos of like characters you want to play and like mashing them together.
Mhm.
That's like what I think, like when people are like, well, I want to be this kind of cleric, or I want to be that kind of cleric. My clerics, because I have so goddamn many clerics, guys, it's not even funny now. I always kind of roll the dice in that I'll be like, okay, well, they have this personality. They're going to be the cleric, but they have this personality. So I'll take like 3 or 4 of the like, subclasses. And then I'll be like, these are 3 that make the most sense. And then I'll roll. Because it's like, it's what do you want to do?
Yeah. And I think, and one thing we were talking about, because I know your stuff went out, Jackie, for everyone else, I think one thing that sometimes we find really fun is grabbing a character concept like Cheetar and pairing it with another fiction of another genre. Okay, I couldn't remember.
They were there.
Oh, they're there? Yeah, we were talking about. Never mind.
Because we were talking about
other ones. Yeah. We don't hate min-maxers. Min-maxing isn't a bad thing. It is a legitimate play style.
It's a play style. If that's
the difference.
Play,
yeah. Here's the bet. Here's the min-maxer that doesn't fit in GMBalo games. The same as any type of player style that wouldn't fit in the games, which is it's about them and not the party.
Yeah.
It's about them and not the campaign. Right? Mm-hmm. That's where it gets bad. If you min-max and you are about the group, you're about the shared goals, you're about moving forward, then who cares?
No one cares if you're min-max.
No one gives it. No one cares. And because I think a really good example of this was on Wednesday. Caldrum min-maxed. And
he was deadly as all hell.
And realized, one, that I min-maxed there for everyone tries to kill me. But the point was there was a change in it because we talked about this in the campaign. Yeah. And Jonathan was awesome. He changed the way Caldrum played to be one that set everybody else up.
Yes.
Right? It moved the min-max to one that was helpful for everyone and didn't put them in a star.
Yeah. And
so it was a really, really great move. So I think that's the whole thing. It's about the concepts we talked about beforehand. And then you can really make anything after.
Go up to this one. I want to say that goes back to like either you love it or you hate it. Because I don't think clerics are hard either. But I love it. But I also will say clerics is the most stressful.
Yeah.
Because you got to keep everyone's dumbass alive.
I think a lot of it's personality too. Because like your personality is when you always say that you like to be in the background.
I love to be.
You love the background. You like to know that what you're doing is helping everybody. Yes. And you don't want anybody to cheer for you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cleric.
Cleric,
and depending on how you're doing it. So if you love that, then that is you're constantly getting what feeds you. Yeah. Right. And where other people go, well, I don't like that. I'm not getting all these, so yeah. It's like the incentive structure. Yeah. If the incentive structure fits your personality, you love the class and you're not going to find it hard.
It's why I don't think I've ever played a barbarian or a bard. Because I'm like, I'm not, that's not my personality. That is not my type. Woo, that's going to be fun. How do you know which one you are? Maybe you don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you need it.
I don't think you need to. Are you having fun? Are you helping the group?
I'm not sure what you're talking about. Which one you are?
Min-maxing it.
Well, no, min-max is. I'm not sure what you're asking. How do you know? I don't know which one of what you're asking, but I would say that the point is that the choice to be about the group is a choice in game. It's not about who you are.
Yeah.
It's about going, this is how you play. Or a badminton.
Oh, a badminton?
Because you're not either.
You're not either.
It's what you're choosing to do in the game. So however you make your character.
Let me answer this.
Go ahead.
I'll bet you I understand this question better than you. Someone told you were a bad min-maxer, and that person was a DM. Because they didn't know how to balance a fight for a min-maxer.
I don't know.
That would be my guess. Because there's no such thing as a bad or a good min-maxer. You're a min-maxer. That's fine. We'll balance the fight accordingly. Maybe.
Yeah, because again,
No.
the point is don't worry about being a bad min-maxer or a bad RP or a bad whatever. Worry about being a player who goes towards the goals of the party and works to help everybody achieve around the table a fun night.
Like,
That's the point.
Yeah, don't worry so much about your stats and everything. Don't worry about that shit. Play what you like playing. We will make the rest work.
Yeah, because
I don't find martials fun. I'm glad other people do, because otherwise it'd be a real bad party. But like, that would be stressful to me. Not as stressful as being a cleric, but I enjoy being a cleric. Yeah, anyone who tells you that you're not good at something when it's like a legitimate like thing that is done in a game, because there are plenty of min-maxers, is because they don't know how to work with that. And like, it took you a while to figure out how to balance fights so it worked with Caldrum. But never once did you say, well, God, he's a bad min-maxer, because you're not.
That's what she liked about World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I
creatures.
used to grind so many things on World of Warcraft because like that was my stress relief, because I did customer service. I miss customer service.
Yeah, I think that's the, when I was talking about that document, that's the purpose, because it's not going to address things like min-max or anything like that, because it's about having being a player with however your play style is to benefit it.
Okay, so I will say I did play one martial that I loved, and it was a monk. It was the one related to the dragon, Way of the Dragon.
Yeah,
Way of the Dragon. So they got dragon breath. Awesome.
That's true. And again, so that's really funny, is because some people would go, "Oh, I'm this," and I wouldn't find that fun. But others go, "I love that I can't do any of these things because of the backstory." That's why it's so much about your player, and that again, and one thing, Molly, you leveraged Helbram for the good of the group in an amazing way. Like, Helbram supported everything so well, even though quote unquote someone could make an argument they'd be wrong with this argument. They could try to make the argument of like, oh, like they didn't pull their rate because they chose these stats or whatever. But it's like, no, that's not the case. You can use that in a,
you roll bad. You mean you still use it? I think like what? That's because you think everyone's always mad at you, and they're not. We love you. Shadow Monk's fun too. Yeah, what was I gonna say? My brain just went off. I don't know what else. Every character I make has flaws and strengths, because that's for me the most fun way to play things. I think Pan's was kleptomaniac. Yeah, that became because of Misty. That was not original to Pan, but then Pan kept stealing everything for Misty, so that like became part of it. But like, I love playing a character, flaws and all. Like, I love pirates. Poor damn pirates. They could not climb a rope to save their lives. Matt had to give them sea legs because it was so bad for the pirates to do anything physical. It was hilarious. But it made for such good role play. It was hysterically funny because they'd be like, all right, let's tie the rope so we don't have to make this athletics check. Like, I love flaws in a game because I think they're great. I was like, I'm trying to think of like who it was. I'm trying to think which character it was that played flaws. Oh, we used to do a team group, and there was this character who rolled the flaw of they were distracted by a pretty face. We literally had it that they would roll a d20, and if it was 10 or above, they were attracted to that person. If it was, they found that person pretty, because that's subjective. And if it was 9 and below, they didn't find them attractive. Yeah. And that's like, I love people playing their flaws. I love that. For me, that's like one of the best things you can do as a player. Is just play your character. That's all you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
That is the most fun I have, is when people play your characters. And damn you, Bobby, though, because you made me love every one of your fucking Dragonlance characters, and so many of them died.
Yeah. That was one of the things that
playing your character.
Yeah, and in a campaign like that, it increased the meaning of the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so interesting. Good. But yeah. All right. Then
yeah, we should go to bed.
Yeah, I think we're basically at the end of
I got a doctor's appointment.
Questions. We'll be getting stuff. So we talked about some of the stuff that's coming up. And yeah, it was good hanging. We'll start to do stuff we talked about, the reviews at the end. Of course, Discord and do all those other things. But
well, okay, the only one we're not going to do at the end is the one between Drakkenheim number 2 and Old Gods, because that's like a half hour.
Yeah, we might have to do a thing after the two.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Bye, guys. Love you.
Yeah, bye.
Don't eat too much Halloween candy. I already did.
Yep, or make sure you have Pepto-Bismol if you do.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, because between those, we have to do it the other night as well.